My sweet suffering, all my sorrow. I share them with you. Let's duel!
Welcome to this installment of the Digimon 30-Day Challenge as part of Digimon Month 2019 here on the Code Crown YouTube channel. Originally, I found this on Twitter via the user Dorumiko, and while I completed this challenge back from September to October 2018, I thought it might be fun to do it over for Digimon Month 2019 and have the chance to expand on some of my answers outside the limits of the Twitter text limit, as well as maybe see if my answers have changed or evolved since then. Puns. So let's get cracking with today's question.
So, till next time, I hope you've enjoyed my little take on this. Like and subscribe as always. And I hope you'll join me for episode 28 tomorrow, my favourite quote. And this one's actually a lot tougher than I would think at first. Probably because a lot of my favourite quotes come from the dub. Oh boy, here we go. Now, I think I mentioned that anybody who has been keeping up with this challenge, or hell, anyone who's watched any of my Digimon videos or my live streams, this is going to be kind of obvious. But day 28 is asking English names versus Japanese names. Do I prefer dub over sub in terms of names, right? It's not asking about episode quality content, because that's a whole other discussion. And nine times out of 10, I'm going to go with the Japanese on that. But in terms of names, what do I prefer? I'm going to be honest, I don't really have a preference. Okay? This is, I know, right? Maybe some of my videos say otherwise, but I think anybody who's paid attention long enough or has known how passionate I am for this franchise for long enough knows that I just don't care. I will alternate between the two in the same conversation. I will be talking to you about Masaru and Toma and the fight against Yggdrasil, but I'll still say that moment when Agumon digivolved. You know? Or I'll be, or I'll, instead of saying child, adult, perfect, ultimate, I'll say rookie, champion, ultimate, mega. All right, and this comes twofold because I was raised on the dub, right? I didn't sit down and watch the Japanese version properly until my early 20s, which I'm well past now. But for me growing up, Adventure 02, Tamers, that was all dub. Frontier never aired over here, so my experience with the dub was the first 3 seasons only, and my first time watching Digimon in Japanese was Savers through nebs.tv. I don't know if that site is still going. But anyway, so I watched Savers through Nebs TV. Then Cross Wars after that, through With the Will and the great people over there that do fantastic subbing work. And then Applemon hasn't even been translated yet. But Frontier, when I got around to watching it eventually, because a friend of mine got a box set in a few years ago, and by a few I mean over 10, and it wasn't entirely a legal box set, shall we say. But we binged it. We went through that entire season over the course of a couple of days. We just binge watched it because we'd never seen Frontier. We'd heard about how bad it was because, the internet blows everything up. Well, we'd never actually sat down and watched it. And we binge watched it from top to bottom and went, yeah, that kind of sucked. The Royal Knight arc has some good moments, but ultimately it's just, God, Frontier is just terrible. It's not zero. Well, Anyway, I'm not going to dwell on that. I've kicked the crap out of those 2 seasons enough. But yeah, so I've sort of gone back and forth. With Frontier, I flip flop on the English and I flip-flop on the English and Japanese names in the same conversation. I'll call Takuya Takuya and Koji Koji, but because those names weren't changed. But Izumi and Zoe, Tommy and Tomoki, and JP and Junpei, I'll flip between those in the same sentence almost because I don't have a preference or I never got used to one over the other. Savers is quite different because I watched that first in Japanese, and the same with Cross Wars. I watched Cross Wars first in Japanese, and I've only watched bits and pieces of the dub. So I always refer to Marcus as Masaru, or Thomas as Toma, or Mikey as Taiki, or Christopher as Kiriha. So with those rare exceptions, because those are the only versions that committed to memory, even though I have watched the dub of Savers, I've watched Data Squad from top to bottom as well. The naming conventions didn't stick with me like they did with the Japanese version. So, and it's only really because of Try over the last few years that with the Adventure Crew, I've gotten into saying Taichi over Tai, or Yamato over Matt, or Tailmon over Gatomon, or Koshiro over Izzy. It's only because of Try and watching Try in Japanese first. The names have stuck with me. But when I'm talking about their evolutions, oh yeah, Agumon digivolved to Greymon. He didn't evolve, he digivolved. And that will always, and that's just rooted into my DNA charge at this point. See what I did there? This is all completely on the fly, I promise you. Scripting these out would be too much of a pain. So yeah, I thought this would be a quick video, but I just don't care. You're free to use what you use, right? Whether you prefer dub terms or you prefer sub terms or English names or Japanese names, or you're free to, or the German dub or the Asian English dub, you're free to like what you like, but just don't crap on other people for liking the alternative. That's all I ask. And I think that's where we should be. So I'll let it go here. Drop down in the comments what your preferences are and why, and maybe just don't be a weeb about it. I'm not saying you can't prefer the Japanese over the English, but in terms of the naming, but just don't be a weeb about it. That's all I ask.